Thank you. Thank you. The story takes place in the Bellevue Physical Rehabilitation Ward in the spring of 1974. I'm 21 years old. But I have to just briefly tell you how I got there. On December 31st, 1973, I wake up paralyzed. From here down, I can't feel a thing. I have a Hodgkin's lymphoma tumor pressing against my spine, between my lungs and my spine. They operate and they say, great, it's gone, you're going to be walking within a week. After 2 weeks, they say, well, maybe the radiation's going to take care of it, but within a month, you're going to be walking. Then the chemotherapy is really going to knock the rest of that out, and the compression's going to be gone, and you're going to be walking. So after 3 months, they say, we think you really need to be in a physical rehabilitation hospital, although your insurance doesn't really cover that. So I wind up in the Bellevue Rehabilitation Ward. And there's about 18 beds, and when I got there, there were 16 guys in the place. It was like jail. Everybody but me were there because their spines were severed by bullets, either in the commission of a crime or an innocent bystander. And obviously it was all poor people. I was the only white person there. It was all African American and Puerto Rican, and they actually, I swear to God, there was Puerto Ricans to my left, African Americans to my right, and they put me right in the middle. Okay? And there was this really jailhouse vibe there, where I felt like I had to put on this like street bullshit, like I don't give a fuck about nothing, you know? And where I'm really trying to recover from this traumatic experience. And one of the things that now I was possibly dying, maybe, I was paralyzed, you know, would I ever be able to support myself? But the thing that was really on my mind the most is, will I ever get laid again? Now, to the left of me, 2 beds down, there was this really voluble Puerto Rican dude who, you know, was playing dominoes, snapping his fingers, playing cards, really in the middle of the clique. And I'm there about a week and a half. Nobody's really talking to me. And one day, he buttoned up at lunchtime. Let me go back a little bit. At lunchtime, his wife would come in and with lunch every day and feed him. And when she came in, she was this beautiful Latina woman. I mean, she was dressed fine every day, showing off her figure, wearing stockings. I mean, she was gorgeous. They were both maybe in their late 20s. And she would feed him his lunch. He would get in bed and it'd be silence. And they would just stare at each other. Their eyes are moist and she's feeding him and he's taking it and they can't take their eyes off each other. And I'm thinking, I'm never gonna have that. I'm never gonna have what they have. I mean, what is it? What, you know, is it mournful? Are they mourning their physical relationship, which is probably not gonna happen anymore? You know, but they're together and they're doing it. And it's just, you know, I just wanted to know what that was. And it was like, the place disappeared. I mean, everybody around them disappeared. And I know that because I could stare at them without fear that they were gonna like turn around and watch me. So one day, he buttonholes me in the bathroom. And, hey, somebody's talking to me. So he comes over and he says, I heard you this morning during rounds. And what happened is during rounds, they were asking me, how you doing? And I said, you know, and they were standing me up. And I said, well, it's kind of weird. I think maybe I'm feeling something. I kind of feel my weight on my legs. I really don't feel anything, but I feel like I think I mean, I can't move them, but I feel like some weight, so I think maybe something's coming back. So he asked me about that, like, what is that? And how's that going? And then he asked me how I got there, and I tell him how I got there. And then I ask him, how'd you get here? What I really wanted to get is, how did you get this woman to be so freaking devoted to you? I mean, how do you do that? And this is the story he tells me. He said, I came home late on a Friday night after partying. I just finished making love to my wife. And I tell her, in the morning, I'm leaving you. I'm going to Florida with so-and-so. And so-and-so was her best friend. He turns over and goes to sleep. She gets out his pistol and blows his spine and half his stomach away. I'm blowing. I said, and he tells me, and I point to the bed, like the wife, and he said, yeah. And I said, aren't you pissed? I mean, what? And he goes, no, I know how you feel. He says, everybody, they had the hearing here. They had the hearing here, and everybody was like telling me I should press charges. The DA, the doctors and nurses were coming to me and saying, you got to get this woman in jail. And he says, it was my fault. How could I do that? How could I put the mother of my kids in jail? And I was the asshole, he's telling me. And I really try to get underneath it from every angle to see, like, this must be bullshit. He really must. And I couldn't do it. I mean, we were there maybe a half hour, and I'm asking him everything I could. So finally, I say, listen, I'm sure you thought of this, but I have to ask. I said, couldn't you keep some shade on your shit? Like, call her from Florida and say, guess where I am? And he goes, but that's it, man. That's it. I thought I could do anything. You can't do anything. You can't do anything. My wife and I, this summer, will celebrate our 29th anniversary, and I've told her this story over the years. And one time I tell her, and I say, yo, baby, I said, can I do anything? And she says, well, we don't have any pistols in the house, but we got a drawer full of knives.
A round of applause for Rob. Oh,